Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle. Thank you very much for tuning in. I've threatened you with this. I warned you. I told you this was going to happen, but we have a special guest with us today. So, as you can see, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, everyone, this is Allison. Allison, everyone.
Hi.
So Allison is now a part of the 1% Club. She is part of the 1% of people who have done a full marathon. And since it was 2011 when I did my very first full, I wanted to talk to someone who was a little more recent than I was. But before we get to the Memphis St. Jude Marathon, where you got your very first marathon,
Mhm.
let's get to know our guest a little bit. So, Allison, tell us about you. How did you get into running? How did you join this crazy, messed up world that we have found ourselves in?
Why is talking about yourself so weird? Okay. So it started more as like a weight loss thing.
Okay.
Back in New Year's of 2022. Yeah. Yeah. And then my best friend whose wife is a marathoner said, do you want to sign up for half marathon? I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Yes. Because as you know, I'm very easy to talk into things.
Okay, so you started, you said in 2022,
Yes.
the beginning of 2022. So what was the half marathon you guys were talking about?
Prairie Fire in Wichita in October.
In October. Okay, so at least you gave yourself a little bit of time. You're
Yes.
even getting a thumbs up from the peanut gallery.
You wanted to say hi.
There we go.
Yeah, so Wichita in October. So it gave me plenty of time.
Okay. And so how did you do on that race? I that wasn't your first race though, was it? Your first half. But what was your first race? Let's backtrack a little.
Race. Rock the Parkway, 5K.
Okay. So you
Mhm.
got into it in January and by April you were doing your first race.
Yes. And I mean, to be fair, I ran cross country my senior year. I played soccer. So like I knew I could run, which is why it made it so much easier
Mhm.
um, than like lifting weights or doing any of that. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
So then all right, yeah, gosh, I can't believe how new you are to this. I feel like you've been doing this longer. Or at least I've seen you at races longer than
Yeah.
just what, a year. I mean, you've
Mhm.
been doing this 2 years, started getting into it. Yeah, you started right before we started the podcast. So okay. So I probably saw you at some races, just didn't even
Probably. Yep.
think about it. Okay. So then you've done your half. You went and did your half in Wichita. When did you
Yep.
decide that you wanted to do a full marathon?
Um, when did you talk about it on the podcast? When did you talk about St. Jude? Because it was right around then.
Oh, okay. So that would have been in the, let's see, we did two St. Jude episodes, one being, well, I know we did one. Okay, no, we did it while I was in Boston. That was when it aired, was in April of 2023 when I was in Boston. So yeah, that's when you started entertaining the idea of a full marathon.
Yeah, so I texted my friend. I was like, "Do you want to go on a road trip? Because this one sounds fun." And she was like, "Yeah, but I think you could do the full." And I was, again, that's stupid. No, never. She's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." I mean,
How many halves did you have at that point?
one, two, two,
You had
two.
two.
Yep.
So yeah, so you escalated quickly then, I think it's fair to say.
I am the definition of that escalated quickly. Like I have no chill.
I think a lot of people can probably identify with that. All right. Well, what made you decide on Memphis then?
I wanted to go on a nice little road trip.
Okay.
And honestly, I mean, you said some great things about it, but I decided that, if I was going to be crying during a marathon, at least I could say, hey, it's because it's an emotional marathon, not because I'm physically dying.
Right.
I mean, it was both, but
Okay. So,
it
all
was
right,
emotional.
you decided in April that you were
Mhm.
going to run a full marathon,
Yeah.
and the full marathon was the first weekend of December. So at least you gave yourself a little time. But yeah, no, tell us about the training process. How did you go from okay, I'm going to run this marathon. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to train for it. What was your process on the training?
I wanted to try to do because I've done all my half marathons training by miles, and
Mhm.
I wanted to do time. But I also started training early because I thought we were training for the Casey half.
Okay.
I thought that was going to be like my race. So I started training early.
Mhm.
And then I decided to sign up for Memphis. And so like I was way ahead of, because even you, when we went out for drinks, you were like, why are you already doing a 10 miler?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was way ahead. And then when I started training with other people, they were doing miles. And so it just kind of shifted. And I did like, honestly, I want to say 5 or 6 weeks of 13 miles because I was so far ahead at one point.
5 or 6 weeks of, so every weekend you were basally knocking out a half
Yeah.
marathon.
Yeah. And that's what my son would say. He was like, so you're just casually doing a half marathon on the weekends now? Like, I guess. Yeah. I'm gonna call it that.
Now that you say that, I think I need another Back of the Pack podcast meet and greet. That was a fun time where we all
That
came
was
in.
a fun
We all
time.
went out.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it once. We got to do that again. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that was a sidebar right there. So, okay, so wow, they're you're doing 13 miles weeks and weeks in a row. How did you get through the monotony of that?
Running with different people. A lot of the times it was races or like group runs that
Okay.
I would just add more at the beginning and more at the end.
Yeah.
Because like one of them was Rexy Run. That was the first one that I did 13 miles. And so I met Amy ahead of time and we did 5.
Okay.
Did another 5 during Rexy. And then I did 3 more on my own afterwards.
Did you do those last 3 down there in Lawrence as well?
Yeah.
So you guys just kind of crossed the finish line, turned right around, and just kept on running.
Yep. She was like, I'll see you later. I was like, okay. And then I came back and she was still there. And she's like, I mean, I'll finish with you. So
Well, Amy's good like that. We've talked about Amy several times on this show.
yeah, Amy's one of the best.
Okay, so all right, you got ahead on it, but what was the most difficult part of training? If you had to put your finger on this was the hardest part about the training, and you did it longer than most, what is the most difficult part of training? Because I think a lot of people who are thinking about tackling a full marathon, the training is what seems the most overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it comes with struggles. So for you, what was most difficult?
Trying to figure out fueling and like when to
Mm,
eat, how to eat, what to eat.
okay.
Uh, do I carry water? Do I not carry water? Trying to plan out your routes, trying to plan out my routes so I didn't have to carry water. So like I would stop at Quick Trip or Hy-Vee Gas, somewhere where I can get water and food and a bathroom all at once so I didn't have to carry anything on me.
Except your debit card, apparently.
I have Apple Pay.
Oh,
I don't need my debit card. But
oh,
I
that's
did
right.
always carry my ID on me just in case.
Okay, but that's actually not bad. How hard was it to map everything out? Did you find it pretty easy, or were you actually sitting there with like Google Maps out trying to map your runs?
I would be at work. I would do like 7 or 8 routes. Be like, this won't work. This won't work. This won't work. So yeah, it was not easy. But
We won't tell your employer about that.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Anyways.
Hopefully none of them watch anyway. All right, so let's see here. All right. So we've got the training part done. And did you actually do the Garmin Kansas City? Did you run the half there?
Yes. No. Yes.
What was your last race leading up to the marathon? When did you stop running and start the
I gotta
taper
think.
process?
My last race was the 10K out at English Landing. We're there.
The Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. Yeah, that
Okay.
was my last race, and I got there early, and I did 6.5 miles before, and then the 10K, and then like a mile and a half after. It was like
Okay.
14 miles.
Yeah. So, all right. And so you made that your last long run. Did you ever pull out a 20-mile run?
Yes, I did. It was not fun. It was not because I had to make sure that I always had someone to run with, and having someone to run 20 miles with me, like no one wanted to do that.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty select company.
I just split it up. So I woke up at 4:30. I ran a mile on the treadmill, and then 2 girls met me at my house for 11 miles.
Okay.
And then I jumped on the treadmill for 3.5. And then I went to a different park to meet someone else for 4.5. And then I jumped back on the treadmill for 2.
How long did that take you?
4.5 hours minus,
Oh, really?
there's 15-minute drive there and back. So 5 hours, give or take.
Because I actually could have seen that being like an all-day affair between traveling and getting people
No.
correct. And
So it was nice. I literally jumped off my treadmill and walked right out the door, and they were already waiting for me.
nice. Okay.
And then when we finished and Carla left, I jumped right back on the treadmill. It was like 2 minutes in between. So the only like downtime was driving to the park and back.
Okay. Which I guess nice little breather, almost like walking through an aid station.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. So speaking of your training, do you want to give any shout outs to some people who helped you along the way? Come on, name drop right now.
Obviously, Amy,
Yep.
Stephanie, Carla, Caitlin, Karen Hayes did a lot too. Um, I mean, those are the ones that did a lot of the long runs with me. A lot of the girls from String Hall on Friday nights
Yep.
did
Yep.
miles with me.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure, credit where credit is due, because it sounds like it took some people to help you get
There
this.
was one long run that I did completely by myself, and I will never do that again.
Kind of miserable, isn't it?
18 miles. I didn't plan it out. I wasn't even planning on running like more than 5. It just kind of like, I'm feeling good, so I'm just going to keep going.
Mhm.
Didn't have any food on me. Didn't carry water. Did not end up well.
Yeah. So before my first marathon, I went out, I did a 16 miler completely solo with no preparation, no planning, no fuel,
Yep.
no water, no anything. Yeah, you want to talk about stupid. That was real dumb on my part.
Never again. Never again.
Nope, definitely not. All right, so we're gonna fast forward now to
Mhm.
actual race weekend, which
Okay.
was just what, week and a half ago.
Mhm.
So talk about the trip down. You came with 2 other people. How
Yes.
how were the nerves as like, okay, it's here, we're leaving Kansas City, we're actually en route to Memphis. How are you starting to feel about the race at that point?
Okay. So driving down, we drove to Branson first.
Hmm.
And I think we had planned to do some things, but we ran on the strip and then we're like, we just want to get down to Memphis. It
Yeah.
wasn't until we were driving to Memphis where it was like, okay, it's actually happening, you know? And I remember Carla saying, like, why aren't you freaking out? I'm like, I'm just pretending it doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Like they're a little nervous for a half marathon, which they've done a million times before. And they're
Right.
like, how are you so calm? I was like, it doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. Mm-mm,
Yeah,
not.
that's not a strategy I hear a lot of people employ. So you know what? That's good. You're creative there. All right. So, all right. So that's going down. Like you're ignoring that it doesn't exist. Now, I
Mhm.
know there was a point where it did exist. And I when we talked about Memphis, I talked about this, but
Mhm.
you and I, for whatever reason, screwed up and ended all the way at the very, very back of the entire race. What were you
Yeah.
thinking as we were standing back there at the very end of the line?
Okay, that was stupid. There were 2 corrals ahead of us that had nobody in it.
I know.
Like, why didn't we just jump the line? But I think it kind of worked out in our favor because, everyone's congested
Hmm.
when they start, but it took us 3 miles to catch up to everybody.
Yeah.
Our
Yep.
first 3 miles were actually really decent. Like, I think I averaged like 10:50
Okay.
those first 3 miles before we caught up to people.
And then we had to start doing the weaving in and out and dodging people. But what was going through your mind though as you're in the start corrals for your very first marathon?
I hope I don't have to use the porta potties.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's one thing you could think about.
That is like my biggest fear though, is having to stop and use the restrooms. I don't like porta potties.
Yeah, they're not the greatest thing ever. Yeah, not gonna lie.
So you know what I did though?
What?
Um, so I did actually have to use the restroom because I knew it. I was thinking about it. I knew it was going to happen. So you know that turn out when we came up from the hill from the river and turned left where the band was?
Oh yeah, yeah, that really, really big hill.
Yeah, yeah, that one. We don't talk about it. Anyways, directly to the right of that hill was my hotel.
Okay.
So I beelined it for the hotel to use the restroom there,
Are
and
you
then just
serious?
yes,
You ran into the hotel to use
I
the
did.
restroom?
I did. I ran into a girl that I talked to on the elevator that morning, and
Yeah.
she was like, "So how'd you do?" And I was like, "Still going." She's like, "Well, how far do you have left?" I was like, 20 miles.
But no big deal. All right.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna pause real quick as
Oh,
you can
you
hear
go.
my dog is barking. Okay, everyone, we had to fast forward a minute as my dog was barking, which you might have heard in the background. But okay, where we left off, you had just run into the hotel
Hmm?
to use the restroom along the race course. How many weird looks did you get from people as you veered off the course and ran away?
I didn't, I was laser focused. I didn't see. I was honestly like, I didn't know if I would. I was like, please don't disqualify me. Like, I know I jumped off course, but I was a little worried about that for about a mile, and then I forgot about it.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
thankfully there's nobody watching that closely. I actually think that's a brilliant idea to run inside a hotel and use the restroom.
Well, we're downtown and I didn't know where I was. And it
Right.
wasn't until I saw my car that I was like, that's my hotel. I'm gonna go there. And it was a very last minute decision. You can see on my like Strava where the beeline was.
Where you veered off.
Yep.
Hey, I like it. Everyone, now we know what to do. When you're running a full marathon, get a hotel along the course, and that's just a built-in potty break right there. That's brilliant.
You're welcome.
I like it. Okay, so as you're going along, let's say once you got to, all right, well, let's talk about this. Mile 10, the campus of St. Jude. How'd you do?
I did not cry.
Hey,
Very close, but did not.
yeah, you're able to stay focused.
Mhm.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then a
And
little bit, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I also don't think there was like you said, I don't think there was as many kids outside when we went through as
Yeah,
there was at the beginning.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that would have made it a lot more
yeah.
emotional, I think. I mean, still plenty of people, and hooray for all that were there. They were great, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and there was a guy, you might have seen him. I don't know what mile he was at, but he literally like jumped out at me and held up a sign and was like, "This is why you're running." That
Yes,
guy. You
yes,
saw
that
him?
guy.
Yeah.
And he did. He was basically jumping in front of runners.
Crap out of me. Yeah. I was like, "What did I do? I'm sorry."
Why is this guy attacking me with a sign? Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
sir. Yeah, no, I definitely remember him. Okay, so
Mhm.
after mile 10, how about this? How about when you got to the half marathon split?
I was very close to doing the U-turn.
You were thinking about it, huh?
They were going downhill. We weren't.
No, no, we were not. No, we just had this very long and lonely straightaway. But did it like did you see it in your mind or like were you watching and like be like, okay, there are 100 people taking this U-turn and there's like two people in front of me right now.
Yeah. So at one point, probably like a mile. So, when we turned out of the hospital and there was the sign split ahead,
Mhm.
but it was for 5K, 10K. So
Yes.
after that, I swear I looked at every single person's bib, like kept turning around. I'm like, that's a half marathoner. That's a half marathoner. Did I miss a turn?
I
Like,
had the very same thought that I'd missed a turn. I really did.
yeah. So I was actually very glad to see the second split sign. I was like, okay, I'm on the right course.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we did the split, and again, the split really got to me because of just the sheer amount of people making that right U-turn and us going straight.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I thought support stayed pretty good, even on the back side of the course. What did you think about kind of the second half of the race?
Okay, so I told Amy and Carla, it was the support was like few and far between, but when we did have it, they were going all out.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I had a girl follow me for like a quarter of a mile with a bucket of grapes. Do you want more? Do you want more? I was like, yes, please. Yeah.
It's like something you see out of like ancient Greece or Rome or something. Like she's just
Mhm.
dangling grapes and allowing you to eat them along the way.
Yeah. And then that mile 23, I don't know what street that was, but they were trying to get me drunk.
Yeah, Stonewall. Yeah, I talked about that one. I love that street. They were a
It was a
blast.
fun street. I had to turn down quite a bit. And then they were given the orange juice and the champagne.
The mimosas. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't realize at the time that you had to grab one of each to make a mimosa. I just grabbed the Chardonnay and just drank that.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it wasn't until after I drank it that I was like, I probably should have added a little orange juice to that.
Man. Now, see, I did get one that was pre-mixed, but I would say it was 90% champagne and 10%
Oh,
orange juice.
absolutely. It
Yeah.
was very strong.
But hey, I wasn't going to complain about it.
Nope.
No, but thankfully after Stonewall, we were but a 5K away from the finish
Mhm.
line. And I don't know about you. Tell me what you think. What did you think of the actual finish? Not how you felt, but what did you think of the finish about going up and over that bridge? And then it's like you make that right turn and boom, you're there.
I think that was nice
Yeah, did
because
you like
I saw
that?
that. Well, so my little beeline to the bathroom added about a quarter of a mile to my watch somehow.
Oh wow.
Maybe it was like point one point. It kept adding somehow. And
Yeah.
so every time my watch would say like, hey, you're at 25 miles. And then it'd be like 0.3 miles before I actually saw the 25-mile sign.
Yeah.
So I was a little irritated there, but then I turned the corner. I heard some guy say, or some woman say, it's just around the corner and it's downhill. And I was like, oh, that's great. She's like, but I'm serious. Cause people always hold those signs like last hill or you're almost there. She's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not lying this time. I was like, oh, thank God. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I heard
Turn
someone say
that
that, but I
corner.
didn't believe them. Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm sure I'll see it from a mile away. And nope, made the right turn, and there it was.
There it was. Yeah.
All right. So now, how did you feel crossing your very first finish line?
I definitely cried a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Little bit. Well, I don't know if you saw my post about the two girls that were still standing there. Did you see that one?
No, I missed that
Okay.
one.
So they might even actually be in the picture. I have to go back and look at it. But like most of my pictures at the finish line, I was not smiling. I was just looking straight ahead. But there was one where I was looking to the left, smiling. And when I came down the finish line, there was maybe 20 people waiting at the finish line. Like there
Mhm.
was not very many people left waiting, but there was two girls there screaming for everybody that came through.
Nice.
I was like, I don't know if they were just like someone like us that would just stand and wait for everybody and
Right.
scream, or they're waiting on somebody. But they're like, you're almost there. You look so strong. I'm so proud of you. And I had like the biggest smile on my face.
Yeah.
So that actually pushed me over the finish line.
Yeah. No, that's
There.
awesome. I think everyone had a pretty strong finish. You guys even commented that mine on the big screen didn't look too bad.
No,
The
you look strong. I have it
the
on video. I sent it to you.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah. The lady who was doing the emceeing at that point,
Mhm.
apparently she liked my outfit because she was like, as soon as I crossed that first mat, she read my name and then started commenting about my outfit. And it kind of felt like, oh, I better start running at this point. I
I
already
love
was,
your
but
outfit.
you couldn't miss me. I was
Well,
bright.
when we were walking to the start line, I was like, I got to find Kyle. And Amy's like, how are we going to find Kyle? I was like, oh, look, there's Kyle. How you can miss that?
I glow.
Yeah,
And then we got stuck in the last corral together. So couldn't have missed me there because there weren't that many people.
I know. There was 20, 30 people there.
Right. Yeah. I'm never going to forget that we were all the way at the back of that. But
Yeah, I was a little mad about it at first, but I think it kind of worked out in our benefit.
it did. And it really, for me, it really helped me not go out too fast. I
Mhm.
paced myself great
I
the
did too.
first several miles of that race because there was no one there where I felt like I had to keep up with them or they're pushing the pace. No, I mean, because we were there with the people who were going to walk a half marathon. So
Yeah.
like I ended up passing a ton of people and just at my
Yeah.
little slow, leisurely pace. It was great.
I had intervals set up. I was doing, I think it was point 0.4 of a run and then point 0.1 walk, and it splits the mile in half. So you're doing half a mile walk, half a mile walk. And I held that the entire time. I've only done 22 miles at that, like that interval before.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if I can make it to mile 22, then I can walk as much as I want. But I held it the whole time, although sometimes my intervals would move just a little bit farther. So my
Yeah.
walk interval would come a little bit sooner. I I made it to where I could walk all the way up that hill before the turn, and then I turned and saw the finish line, and I just sprinted.
Oh yeah. Then it was go time then. Cause yeah, I think I walked up the last half of that hill. And then
Oh,
as soon
I
as I
walked up
turned the
the whole
corner,
hill.
yeah, which is totally fine. Trust me.
I earned that. I ran up the river hill.
And I
Like,
didn't. The only time I walked in the first half of that race was that dang river hill. That was nasty.
I kind of wish we had run on the river just a little bit longer.
Agreed. Yeah, I was
That was
actually
great.
surprised with how quick it
Very
was.
pretty. Yeah.
Yep. And we got to see the big Bass Pro Pyramid for so much of that part of the race.
Yes. Apparently, it's a hotel too.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I did say that if we were to ever go back, I would want to do like the 5K or 10K or something, and
Mhm.
then go hang out in that hotel and cheer people on.
Oh, that's true. You could do that.
Yeah.
You'd have a great seat to see everybody.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, other than the river part, but what's your kind of your biggest memory of that weekend of that race?
Mm, well, the after party was kind of fun.
Yeah, the after party was fun.
I
They
like being
definitely
able
had
to
it
watch
set
the
up.
big screen.
Oh yeah, that's right. See, I didn't stay and watch many people on the big screen.
I would have liked if they had, they had that winter wonderland thing
Yeah,
down there, but I would have liked to like lay on the field or something.
that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
They should have opened that Winter Wonderland up to us. It would have made for great pictures.
Yes, it would have. Surprised they didn't. Actually, I'm not surprised. We were all sweaty and gross. They didn't
Yeah,
want us, like,
yeah,
yeah,
a little bit because it definitely did warm up when that sun came out.
yeah.
All right, so I know you probably learned like many things, but between the entire process,
Mhm.
from when you decided you were going to run a marathon to let's say when you guys left the after party, what's the biggest lesson that you learned throughout this entire process?
It is a much bigger time commitment than I originally thought.
Okay.
And a sacrifice, like not only from us, but like our families, friends, everybody who agreed to go on a long run with me.
Mhm.
my child who gave up almost every Saturday for me to do a long run. My parents who gave up every Saturday to watch him. Oh yeah. Hi. Yeah.
He
He's over
knows you're
there
talking about him.
dancing. He's dancing.
Well, sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
All right. And so then the biggest question, are you going to do another one?
As much as I wanted to say no and have some kind of snide comment here, I've already signed up for Chicago. So
There you go. Yep. Now you've got the bug, the full marathon bug.
I even said that I was going to wait to sign up for Chicago till after St. Jude's to see if I even liked it. And they're like, no, you can't wait. You got to do it now. I was like, okay, like, you know how easy I am to talk into things. Like it took Josh 7 messages to convince me to do it. So
I'm surprised it took 7 actually.
mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Well, tell everyone, how can they help you with Chicago? Because I know you need assistance.
Yeah. So I have my fundraising page, but right now until the end of the year, I'm doing a raffle for a 5K or a 10K entry.
Okay.
For any donation, your name will be put in a raffle. That was your idea, by the way. I stole that from you.
You're good.
But yeah, any donation, 5K or 10K raffle, any race of your choice.
Okay.
And I will draw the first of the year.
And how can they go about doing that?
On my Facebook page.
Okay.
Yes.
So on the Facebook page, and you are raising funds for
Ronald McDonald House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when this episode airs, we'll go ahead and share on the podcast your charity page, and
thank you.
See if people want to get in on a potential 5K or 10K.
Yes, that'd be great.
All right. Well, there we go. Is there anything else you want to tell the listeners? We have a captive audience here. If they're listening to us, then, they're not going anywhere. They're stuck right here.
See, I have all my answers written out, and I have nothing else written down. So
that's it, huh?
I think, yeah, but I mean, they can look at my medal again.
There it is. There it is, guys. And I didn't do a close up of the medal on the show, so that's good to show that off.
Yeah.
There we go.
I was half tempted to have like my finisher's blanket back there and my medal on and my jacket and everything.
I was actually shocked you weren't wearing the jacket. Definitely shocked.
I am very worried to get it dirty before I have Stephanie embroider it. So I literally today, when I took that picture, was the first time I have worn it since we got back.
There you go. Well,
yeah,
it works. It works. Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, you are the official end of the 2023 Back of the Pack podcast season.
I'm honored.
Yep.
I'm honored.
So that's going to do it. We're calling 2023 done. We're taking 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's, and then we'll be back with, I think we're going to do a 2023 wrap up on the first episode in 2024. So that's what we're going to do. So a huge thank you to our guest, Allison, and her son, who is clearly a very shy lad. And does not like to be seen by people at all. Does he know this is going to be seen by thousands upon thousands of people? Yeah. Be afraid. Be very afraid. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Everyone have a happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a safe New Year. We will see you in 2024. Until then, have a great few weeks of training. And remember, running has no off season, so we're going to be racing again in like no time flat. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.